Hello, this is the TradeSite Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, the 28th of July 2019, ending Friday, August 2nd. Hope you had a good trading week. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart, back near highs, but when I say that, we're still in basically a 3-point range for almost a year, which is just horrible and kind of meaningless. So nothing much to say there. Let's go through the daily charts of the pairs. The euro dollar near the lows because it's the inverse of the dollar index. So nothing new there. Pound dollar had a 13 buy signal back a bit, and then we've bounced once already off the risk line. We're right back to that risk line. We haven't broken it yet. Interesting to see. This is going to be a major tug of war because remember, when you break risk lines quickly, and I would call this quickly on a daily chart time frame, if we go below it, it usually leads to a big move. So that would be the downside. Having said that, they start out as major support, so we'll see what happens. The Aussie dollar broke down this week a bit, straight down several days in a row. The euro yen did almost nothing. The pound yen did almost nothing. There's a 13 buy signal in place there. The pound Swiss did nothing as well, and the New Zealand dollar pair did nothing. Now, if we go to 30-minute candles so we can see the week on the euro dollar, once again, we're talking about 130 pips, 120 pips max, 130 we'll call it. For the entire week, Monday was dead. Tuesday was the whole move. And then after Tuesday, the whole thing was stuck basically in a 60 pip range. So that's untradeable. The pound dollar, high to low for the week, 140 pips. Also awful. A little more back and forth here. We had a couple winners. We had a couple days without trades, and we had a stop out. So it's not the end of the world for us. That's the way our system works. You can pretty much make money in any environment, but it is what it is. All right, let's take a look at the economic data that's coming out this week and see if there's anything that we need to be aware of. Remember that GDP number came out last week, and that was the big one. So on Sunday, we got retail sales out of Japan, HIA new home sales out of Australia, nationwide housing price index out of the UK, Spanish flash CPI out of Europe, M4 money supply out of the UK, along with mortgage approvals and net lending to individuals. Then Monday night, building consents out of New Zealand, unemployment rate out of Japan, preliminary industrial production out of Japan, building approvals out of Australia, monetary rate announcement out of the Bank of Japan at some point Monday night going into Tuesday. So at this point, we really don't have much. That Bank of Japan announcement's not really a big deal anymore. French flash GDP, German consumer climate, the Bank of Japan press conference going into Tuesday after their announcement, French consumer spending and budget balance, German preliminary CPI, Italian 10-year bond auction, then here in the U.S., 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, core PCE price index and personal income. And spending followed 30 minutes later by the S&P housing price index. Then 30 minutes or an hour after that, consumers' confidence and pending home sales. Then you jump all the way to the night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, consumer confidence out of the UK, manufacturing PMI and non-manufacturing PMI out of China, business confidence out of New Zealand, CPI out of Australia, along with their trimmed mean CPI, private sector credit. We got Japan's consumer confidence going into Wednesday, along with their housing starts. German retail sales, French preliminary CPI, Spanish flash GDP, German unemployment change, Italian monthly unemployment rate, CPI flash estimate out of Europe, Italian preliminary CPI, flash GDP out of Europe, the unemployment rate out of Europe at 5 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, Italian preliminary GDP, an hour later, German 10-year bond auction at some point. Here in the U.S., Wednesday at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time, the ADP non-farm employment change, Canada, GDP, RMPI, IPPI, U.S. dollar employment cost index, the U.S. employment cost index, followed by Chicago PMI, crude oil inventories, that's the weekly number. We have a Fed meeting this week, so Tuesday and Wednesday. It's going to slow everything down, unfortunately, and we're in the summer. Fed announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, and then the press conference 30 minutes later. That night, Australia's got their AIG manufacturing index. Japan's got final manufacturing PMI. Australia's got import prices. China's got a number. 10-year bond auction out of Japan. Thursday, Swiss on bank holiday. Australia commodity prices number. European stuff, we have Spanish manufacturing PMI, Italian manufacturing PMI, French and German too, and then the broad European sector, and then UK, all the same, the manufacturing PMI numbers. 7 a.m. Eastern Time, UK has got their Bank of England number. This is a rate announcement out of the Bank of England. So we've got Japan, then the US, and then the Bank of England this week, all of them. Challenger job cuts here in the U.S. The weekly initial and continuing jobless claims numbers at 8:30 Thursday. Canada's manufacturing PMI an hour later. Ours at 9:45, and our ISM manufacturing at 10. Construction spending at 10. Ward's total vehicle sales at some point during the day on Thursday here. Natty Gas at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Japan Thursday night monetary base and the minutes from their last meeting. Retail sales out of Australia along with PPI. And then we get to Swiss CPI going into Friday, Spanish unemployment change, Swiss manufacturing PMI, Italian industrial production, UK construction PMI, PPI and retail sales out of Europe, trade balance out of Canada, and then the one here in the U.S. along with our employment rate. So trade balance and unemployment rate here in the U.S., that comes with the non-farm payroll number. Those are two of our big three each month. So we'll definitely be half size ahead of that on Friday. We'll be half size ahead of Wednesday and the rate announcement. And that's going to take care of a lot of the big data for the month already. Revised University of Michigan sentiment. That's the wrap up for actually July, and factory orders at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And that will do it. So some data, a lot of data, a couple rate announcements, unemployment rate and trade balance. It's all good stuff. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week and